Hey everyone, Brie Sodano coming to you live today from my business page. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is pulling financial levers. It's an interesting way to look at things. So I'm really excited to talk about this today with you. So if this is your first time ever catching me live, please tell me that you're here. Leave a comment so that way I can say hi to you. If you are someone who watches all the time, please say hello so that way I can say hi to you. And as we go through, please feel free to leave comments. All right. So, hello. Oh, all right. I see there's some people live. So you have to I don't know, leave me a comment so that way I could actually see who you are. All right. And I'm excited. So give me some hearts and some likes, and we're going to go ahead and get started talking about financial levers. Oh, good morning, Carrie Walker. All right. So the other day I take a call and I talk to someone who's making a lot of money. Like they're making like $400,000 a year. And they have massive problems with their money. That's why they were calling me, obviously, like they weren't in great shape. And so I offer them a program that's a $5,000 offer. And the fella like freezes up and he's like, I don't know, that's like a lot of money. It's such a big amount of money. And it was interesting because with an income of 400,000, a $5,000 spend should really be a lever that we're able to pull. Right. And so it got me thinking because I haven't explained it this way before, but it was just like an interesting idea. It was like, you have a money problem that's costing you like literally like $50,000-$60,000 a year. The solution, one of many solutions. It's not like working with me is the only way to fix your money, but I'm really good at what I do. Like the solution's going to take 6 months and cost $5,000, and that lever is like too stuck for you to pull. So it's just an interesting idea, right? And so what I realized is that so much of what we learn about money, we're trying to pull smaller and smaller levels. So think about this. So look, all money gets spent. All money gets spent. And if it doesn't get spent, you leave it to someone who spends it. Like if you die before you can spend it. So if you buy groceries, you're gonna use your money, you're gonna get groceries in exchange. Even if you buy an investment, like if you buy a house, you still bought a house. You still spent your money, you bought a house, now you have something that's not money anymore. Now it's a house. Even if you buy like a stock and a bond. Hey, Victoria, good morning. I'm super happy that you're here live. Oh, and you're live on YouTube, which is super extra, super duper exciting. All right. So when we think about levers, so like, look, let's just say you could pull a $10 lever, right? You could pull a $10 lever and you can spend $1,000 with 100 $10 purchases, right? We've done this. You've done this in your life. You might have made 100 $10 purchases this month, right? This month, maybe in the last 2 months. Then you can pull a $100 lever 10 times to spend that same amount of money. Or you can pull a $1,000 lever once, a $5,000 lever, a $10,000 lever. So here's one of the big problems that I see with people in their money is that they have this idea that spending big money is like terrifying. Like, oh God, if I spent $1,000 at once, that'd be crazy. But the thing is, imagine what you could get for $1,000 at once, and then imagine what you could get for $10 100 times. What can you get for $10 100 times? Like a few months worth of sandwiches, even $100 10 times. $100 10 times is 10 really beautiful meals. It could be like 10 various clothing shops, whatever else. $1,000 all at once is going to get you something different. So oftentimes when I'm working with clients, part of what we need to do is be able to learn to have money, so that way we could actually have the financial strength to pull those bigger triggers, right? So levers, not triggers, but like levers. So imagine, this is kind of a silly example, but all right, imagine you're going to go to the gym and you're going to lift 10,000 pounds when you're there. You could do it with 5-pound weights every single day of your life, but you're not going to actually be any stronger. To build financial strength, you have to be able to spend bigger sums of money sometimes, which means that you're not necessarily going to spend the small amounts of money. Are you guys with me? Give me a heart or a like or comment if you're with me, if you understand kind of where I'm going with this. So being able to pull bigger financial levers, like think about the things that you really want in life. Are they sandwiches? Probably not. You probably want to, like for me, I want to upgrade my kitchen. It's going to be, it's not going to be like one $20,000 check, but when I upgrade my kitchen, it's probably going to be a $20,000 job, right? And so I want to be able to pull a $20,000 lever on that. Like I want to be able to get, I was looking at refrigerators yesterday. The ones I was looking at is like, $2,000 to $3,000. You can get them a little less expensive, but that's what I want. What I want. So when you think about it, the money that comes into my life is going to get used no matter what I do with it. And so we want to be able to restrain ourselves from just pulling the $10 lever over and over again. Like if you go to the gym and you just lift a 10-pound weight, you're not going to be as strong as if you can lift a 50-pound weight, lift a 100-pound weight. Obviously at the gym, you're probably not going to lift a 10,000-pound weight, but that's where you want to start to think about it. And so I'm going to tell you the number one limiting idea that keeps people pulling really small levers instead of being able to pull bigger levers, even though they have the money to be able to do this. It's the idea that they can't afford big things. It's the idea that it's like, oh, I can't afford it. I can't afford to go on vacation. I can't afford to buy a new refrigerator. I can't afford to do these things. And so if you can only spend your money in very small increments, if you're somebody who's totally comfortable to spend less than $100, but the idea of spending $3,000 freaks you out, part of what you want to work on is increasing your ability to pull financial levers, right? And so that idea that you can't afford it gives you like this trinkets versus treasures mentality is typically what I call it. Is like when people are like, oh, well, it's only $10. It's only $20. It's only $30. So they buy and buy and buy and buy all these small things. But then when it comes to like sending their kids to college, they don't have money for those big purchases, or even like your kids' weddings, or getting your house redone, or buying a car cash, even things like paying your car insurance for the full year instead of putting it on a payment plan type stuff. Like those are bigger levers to pull. And they're an indication of financial strength. So like, think about it, like a 10-pound weight versus a 100-pound weight. Like it's a whole different level of financial strength. Oh, I see some of you guys are live with me. So good morning, Dusty. I already said hi to Carrie. Victoria, thank you for commenting. Lisa. All right. So yeah. So Lisa says, yes, most money issues are not big purchases in life, but all those small purchases. She's totally, totally right. Hello, Miss Kelsey. So these are the things. So like, all right. So when you work on your beliefs, so if you watch my videos, we know that we have a realm of judgments, things that we think are true, a realm of thought, your realm of emotions, and then your realm of actions. And so the idea that you can't afford stuff is really crushing your ability to build those strength, like to build that strength. It's like, oh, I could spend $100 a zillion times, but I can't spend $1,000. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that because I think it's a really different perspective. And so much of the money advice out there is telling you to spend smaller and smaller amounts of money. It's like, oh, try to spend less money on, cut back on this and this. And to be honest, I mean, a certain amount of efficiency and whatever else is important. And what's interesting is so often when I'm working with my clients in Cash Confident, we get into their transactions, and really what we start working on is pulling slightly bigger levers less often. So let's just say, like a perfect example, we have a client right now. So Carrie, I work with Carrie Walker on cash flow coaching. So we have a client right now who's going to the grocery store 5 days a week and pulling a $25 lever, a $25 lever. So what we're trying to do, what we're working on is going to the grocery store once a week and pulling it may be the same amount of money, but it's going to cost so much less time. So, but it's when we really get to it, it's going to cost less money too. So instead of going all these times pulling the $25 lever, $50 lever 100 times, not 100 times, like 5 times a week, but that's, you waste a lot of energy to pull that lever all the time. So what we're working on is so she's going to spend more money at the grocery store less often. And then she's going to have more time to meal plan, to think about prepping, to go through her grocery list, to curate what she wants on her list, and to be able to actually enjoy the food that she has rather than always thinking about, well, what about today? What about today? What about today? Because what about today is those small purchases. Like if you're only worried about today, spending all of your money in really small purchases makes a lot of sense. But if you want to be going on really wonderful vacations, you got to think about that a year ahead of time. And you got to be putting money aside to be able to say, all right, well, when I buy the hotel and the plane tickets and whatever else, I'm going to spend $2,000 at once to be able to do that. So it's interesting because like, if you buy stuff online, like if you go clothes shopping online, your total comes to $200, they're going to offer it to you in 6 payments with no interest. Isn't that interesting? That they're going to say, all right, well, it's the same amount of money. Instead of being able to pull a $200 lever, we're going to cater to your financial weakness. And we're going to say, you could pull it, you could get the same thing in 5 easy payments. And sometimes this needs to happen. Like I'm not crap talking this. Like for my coaching programs, I offer payment plans because you got to meet people where they're at. But it's just interesting to see how much how financially weak we are as a collective, not like you personally, but just collectively. Like 50 years ago, people weren't doing that. You know what I mean? Like people are putting all sorts of stuff on payment plans and credit. It's very interesting to watch. And it's because, but I'm telling, that is a financial weakness to not be able to spend $200. If you were in the realm of buying $200 worth of clothes, to not be able to spend it at once and put it on, a whole bunch of separate payments. It's not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but it definitely is showing you where your financial strengths and weaknesses are. And so if you want to do better financially, what you want to do is be able to have money, build it up, so that way you could pull those bigger levers. All right, so that's honestly my talk for today. And one of the ideas that you're going to have to change around that is going to be the idea. There's two real limiting beliefs that keep this happening. So one is you have to need it to be able to buy it. That idea causes people to not get what they truly, truly desire and spend smaller amounts of money than what they want. So for example, like I just told you guys, I want a $3,000 refrigerator. Now, my current refrigerator is fine. It's functional. It's working. So if I decide that I have to need a refrigerator to buy this one, I'm totally going to justify getting a new refrigerator. I'm going to drag it down into the muck until it's a need, right? I'm going to be like, this refrigerator is old. It doesn't work anymore. Blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to drag it down so that way, every time I open my refrigerator, I feel a sense of lack, right? But then am I going to be able to justify in my mind, to get the top of the line refrigerator? Not if I believe that you have to need something to want it. I want a really nice refrigerator. I don't want the bottom of the line refrigerator. But if you have to need it to buy it, then what you need is just a refrigerator. You don't need the top of the line because that's extra. And so then instead of having a nice clean desire and the ability to wait for what you want and build up the money to match your desire, you drag it down to be a need, and then you buy the cheapest one or a cheaper one, right? Have any of you ever done this? A refrigerator is something a little bit different. Think about it in terms of like clothes or a purse. Like, oh, I need a new coat. Even though your coat is fine, you just want a new one. You see one that you like, but then, then you have to justify it to yourself, and you can't really justify the top of the line, the snazziest, coat. So then you end up feeling like crap in your old coat, and then you buy a new coat, but it's the cheaper version of what you wanted, and then it wasn't even really what you want, and then it wasn't even satisfying, and then next year you need a new coat anyways because this one wasn't even what you wanted. So now the whole year you go with something that you didn't want. The other idea that really causes small levers, small financial strength is the idea that I can't afford it. I can't afford to go on vacation. I can't afford this. And we started to already talk about that in this video. So you guys might want to go back, but that's really it, is because when you can't afford it, listen, your brain wants you to be right. Your brain wants you to be right. So if you say, I can't afford vacation, you will not be able to afford vacation. If you say, I can't afford a new refrigerator, you're not going to be able to afford a new refrigerator. And it's really going to be not because you couldn't have, but because you were using the $10 lever when you needed to be able to pull $1,000 lever. All right. Dusty says lots of times, but just for me, when it comes to others, I'm able to get their wants without feeling bad about it. Oh, so good. Actually, Dusty, yesterday I was talking to a client about this too, this exact same thing. Yeah. So our financial levers are different in different areas. So I'll give you guys some of my own little bag of crap I'll share with you. So in my life, going out to dinner, I can run up a $75 tab on my own for me. I'm going to get a cocktail. I'm going to get a little snack. I'm going to have a beautiful entree, maybe a dessert. I could spend $75 on dinner and be okay with it. Spending $75 on a shirt, crazy talk, crazy. Like if I was to spend $75 on a shirt, I'd be in Macy's like doing deep breathing exercises. Like, you're going to be okay, self. You're going to be okay. But like to eat and drink $75, oh, here's my card. Here's my debit card, no big deal. So you want to, and awareness around this is going to be key, because I kind of say this and I joke, even though that's the total truth. We moms especially, we're able to pull, bigger levers for our kids than we are for ourselves. It's true. So you want to start to pay attention to those things, because it's really an indication of what you value. It's really an indication of what you value. So you could see by me saying that, I value more my experience than I do the clothes I'm wearing. And it's true. Actually, I just started really upgrading my wardrobe, because I was like, man, I gotta make a lot of money to be wearing like $12 shirts. Like, it's funny. Like it's really a funny thing. Like, I had to really kind of think about that for myself. Like, is this, I did. I really had to think about it to be able to start to pull those bigger levers. And I'll tell you, it's uncomfortable. It really is. It's uncomfortable. I'll tell you, I recently just bought first class tickets. I have to travel this year, actually soon. And I'm a little nervous about the corona, but it's got to be, like, the traveling's going to happen. And so I bought the first class tickets, and they cost more. They definitely cost more than the, normally I upgrade to a little bit more leg room if I have a longer flight. But I definitely was uncomfortable spending that money on that thing. So the tickets were about $1,000. So I bought the first class tickets were about $1,000. I could have got them for about $500 if I'd had the one downgrade, right? But I didn't want anybody touching me, because I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to be a little nervous, right? But there's other areas where spending $1,000 is like, of course, you know what I mean? Like, I have employees, I make payroll. Like, I spend thousands of dollars every 2 weeks for my employees, and that's not anything I would ever question. That lever just gets pulled. But for plane tickets, I was like, self. I literally talked to myself about this. I was like, there's a pandemic. You're going to be mad at yourself if you have to sit squished next to a stranger. You don't know what they've been doing. You're going to be mad about it, right? It's a long flight. Just get I literally had to talk myself into being able to pull that trigger. And so it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be able to do it, because I was like, well, do you really need it? But the thing is, for where I am in my life, that lever made sense to me, but it doesn't make it less uncomfortable. And so that's part of being able to do these things, is you have to kind of be able to move with the discomfort of doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you guys, another time I was deeply uncomfortable spending money so Amanda Francis is someone who I've followed for a long time. She's a coach that talks to coaches. She's like the self-proclaimed money mindset queen, right? Or money queen. And I followed her work, and I've taken some of her courses, and I like her. So she was doing a dinner in New York City a couple of years ago. And so whatever, so it wasn't like a full coaching program. It was just, so whatever, I paid the money and I went to dinner with her. And I got there early. And I remember I'm at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in a sweater I got from Marshall's. Just saying. I mean, I looked fine, but, and I was like, I almost felt like I didn't exactly belong there, even though like I just paid $1,500 to go to dinner with one of my mentors to meet her in person. I obviously drove, I paid to park. Like I had the money, I had the actual money to be able to do what I was doing. I wasn't out on a limb. I was there. I was there on my own entrepreneurial right. But it didn't matter because I still felt uncomfortable. So I went and I like talked myself into go have a drink. You overlook Columbus Circle at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. It's a gorgeous view. The bar is luxurious and gorgeous. You sit in these nice leather chairs. There's like little tables, and I was by myself, and I had about a half hour, 45 minutes to kill. And I went and I got a glass of champagne and seltzer water to like just commemorate for my own self. The tab for one glass of wine, one glass of champagne, and seltzer water was $60, which was silly. Like it's silly. I'm happy I did it. But the thing is it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be in such a fancy place because that's, I live in like the suburbs of Connecticut. Like it seems fancier on TV than it really is, people. If you've ever watched movies where they're like Connecticut, it's really not that fancy here. I do all right in terms of the money that I make, but I'm not like looking to move, to the Beverly Hills or anything. So it's there's a level of practicality and like me just feeling good. And so anyways, the whole experience was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be there. It was uncomfortable, the $60, in the big scheme of things, like it's not that big of a lever, but it was for me at the time. Like it was like my instinct was to go wait outside, to go have a walk around the block, to not go have the drink at the fancy place. Do you know what I mean? Are you guys with me? And so for me, it sometimes, I guess where I'm going with this is building up that financial strength is uncomfortable the same way going from, bench pressing 40 pounds to bench pressing 80 pounds is uncomfortable. Like it burns a little bit, I guess. Like it's like, oh, right. So like when I do the kitchen, when I actually do it and I'm spending $20,000 in a 2-week period, I'm probably not going to be super okay. Like I'm probably going to be like deep breathing and really walking myself through that, because that is a new level of, pulling trigger, levers. I keep calling them triggers, but it's like financial levers. It's going to be new for me. It's going to be different. And so I'm going to have to be okay with that if I want the thing that I want, right? Because if I stay in the comfort zone of like, all right, I'm not going to get what I want because I'm not going to be able to pull the trigger on the lever, not trigger, self. Okay. I'm not going to be able to do that. And so I'm going to get less than what I want. And it's not because I don't have the ability to do it. It's because I don't have the ability to pull the lever. You see the difference? So often people think they don't have the ability to pull the lever. They're like, I can't spend $1,000 on that. And it's not because they can't actually it's not because the $1,000 doesn't exist in their life. It's because they don't have the ability to pull that lever. They're two different things. You know what I mean? And so, and your ability to master different levels, it does have something to do with your income, because like, let's just say you're making $50,000. If you're making $50,000 a year, $1,000 lever is a much bigger challenge than if you're making $200,000 a year. And there's going to be some truth of income to levers, of course, but your ability to save, your ability to have money, your ability to build money up to be able to pay for things, you always want to be working with yourself and thinking about building that financial strength for yourself. Because here's the deal, is you have to build your having this level. You have to be able to have bigger and bigger sums of money to be able to pull those levers. So like if you're pulling levers all on credit, it's not the same. It is not 100% not the same. Pulling levers that when it not being your real money, like borrowed money, it's not the same, because the lever that you're actually pulling is the payments. So for example, if I go buy a car, $20,000 cash, I write the $20,000 cash. That means I had to have had the $20,000. If I go and I give them my social security number and they run the numbers and I have to make $500 a month payments, I'm pulling a $500 lever. You guys see the difference? So having this level is how much money you can tolerate in your bank account before you have to let it out. And I'll tell you, for most of us, our having this level is too small for our lives. We're uncomfortable. Like, this is why people are constantly in a cycle of debt. It's because they get the money in their bank account and then all of a sudden their brain's torturing them with thoughts, and their brains, oh, you should pay this off. You should do this. You could do this. Da, 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 and then they can't actually have the money. Like, having money in your bank account and letting it chill out and letting it wait until it's ready to go. That is the major skill and money that I feel like no one is talking about. Like, when I'm working with my clients, I'm like, all right, well, what's your having this level? How are we building up your savings account? Like, I teach in the invisible system to stop bleeding money and start stacking cash. Like, you have to start saving. You have to have a habit of saving money before you can even really worry about your debt, because having money, if you can't have money, you'll always be in debt. So when people don't build up a real savings account, when they don't increase their having this level, they stay in debt, because then they always need money, because they don't know how to have money. And so then they keep pulling these small triggers on the payments, right? You guys with me? All right. So I'm actually going to go right now, but listen, if you want to talk to me about working with me, I have 2 different coaching programs. I'll explain them briefly and then we'll wrap up. So Cash Confident is my coaching program, and this is really going to be for people who are who make enough money, who know cognitively that they're like, dude, I make a decent income. Why am I having patterns of yo-yo debt? Why am I paying overdraft fees? Why is my money the dictator of my life, right? And so Cash Confident is really about pulling power back. It's learning to be the master of your money. Actually, our new logo, I just got a designer whose logo is so good. I'm so excited to share that with you. But Cash Confident is 6 months. You get to meet, I have a cash flow coach who's going to help you go through your transactions. She's going to help you figure out, like, not just, our advice isn't going to be like, well, you spend $600 a month on groceries, you should be spending $400 a month. It's going to be like, hey, bye, Victoria. Have a wonderful day. It's going to be things like, hey, listen, I see that you're going to the grocery store 5 times a week. Let's go 1 time a week. And when you have somebody help you go through all of your transactions, we don't have your habit blindness. It's amazing. It's amazing what someone else can see that you can't see, because you're going to read your transactions. You're going to be like, yep, I did that. I went there. I did that. I needed that. This all makes sense. And oftentimes our biggest bleeds are in small habitual transactions. So when you read your statements, not any single one of those is the problem. It's not like the lunch that you had on Tuesday the 12th was what broke your finances, but it's like the lunch habit that you have. And so lunch, that's always kind of where I go with it, but we go deeper. And then, so clients work with me. We're working together in small groups twice a month. And that's where we're digging deep into your money mindset. So we're starting to look at the judgments that you have around money, the judgments you have around rich people, because this dictates the level of thought that you're able to have around money. Think about it like this. Like, right now, if you and Warren Buffett had the exact same problem, he might be coming up with a different solution, because he thinks at a different level, right? Because he might not have the same judgments that I have about money, right? And so if you've ever talked to somebody where you have somebody, like a coworker or a friend or something, was complaining about a problem, and you're like, I see a solution here it is, and they're like, no, that won't work because of X, Y, and Z. And then you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, what about this? Could you try this? And then they're like, no. Okay, and then you're like, all right, well, what about this? And they're like, no, we don't do that. And they're like, all right, well then never mind. Carry on with your problem. It seems to me that you like it, right? So that means that they have truths that are too small for them. Truths that are too small for them. And when it comes to money, we get taught to judge rich people. We get taught to think that money is bad. We get taught that you're somehow less than if you make a lot of money. We have a lot of ideas about money that are really coded in a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. And so when you break those judgments down, your thoughts about financial problem solving open wide up. And so cash confident is about feeling like what you eventually get is a feeling of freedom and security. That's like the major transformation. But it's like, I'm cash confident because I know that I know how to make money. I know it. Like I'm not scared I have my own business, so it's different, but if I wanted to go get a job today, I could. I know how to make money. I know how to create money. I know how to earn money. And when I say that, you don't doubt it. You're like, oh yeah, look at, she knows what she's doing. It's knowing how to spend in alignment. It's knowing how to save and invest. It's being able to sit with the discomfort of increasing your havingness level instead of running and not trusting yourself with your own money. Do you know how many people I see that don't trust themselves with their own money? That's the sort of stuff that we're working on in Cash Confident. It's like pulling all your power back and really like being able to wield your money, being able to use your money skillfully like a tool, but using it with skill, right? Like, can you imagine if you had somebody show up at your house to do carpentry work and you were looking at them with their hammer and you're like, oh, you're doing that wrong. Like, we don't get taught to how to use money like a tool. We get taught to use money like an end goal. Money is not an end goal. Money is a means to an end. Money buys you the life that you want if you can use it properly. But we don't get taught to use money like a tool. So that's the sort of stuff that we do in Cash Confidence. You get one-on-one meetings every single month for accountability, for like practical stuff. You get money mindset. We break down the judgments. We work on like, emotional stuff. And we get into the scarcity and abundance. And then we go super deep in the other program, Limitless Wealth. So Limitless Wealth is a 12-month program. And you don't necessarily have to own a business, but most people that are in that program do own a business. And that's where we're looking at like full life prosperity. Like, because you'll find that your relationship with money is super reflective of other things in your life. So in Limitless Wealth, you'll work with me one-on-one for strategy on like, so some of my clients were doing cash flow work, but most of my clients were working on like, how are we making this business grow? Like, how are we increasing your time potency and getting the most for your time in terms of dollars? Like, how are we building the life of your dreams? Like, what's the high level strategy? So I do that work one-on-one with clients in Limitless Wealth. And then in Limitless Wealth, we're together every single week and we're working on emotional intelligence. We're working on mindset. We're working on judgments. We do retreats, like we meet in person. And there's just like my clients all love each other. They have a really beautiful bond because they're all kind of in this together. And they're working and they share ideas, and it's a coaching program, but it's kind of like a hybrid between that and a mastermind where they come together. They have a lot of really good ideas that they share, and then I bring what I can to the table. And so Limitless Wealth is a full year. So if you want to talk to me about either of those programs, I will put a link in the comments right now. You can go to briesodano.com, BRIESODANO.com, and we can have a quick chat. So you'll either talk to me or somebody on my team, and then we'll go from there. All right. So I love you. I appreciate you. You have a gorgeous, wonderful day.